John Adams is the name of this refound founder, and as a best-selling biography is currently reminding us, the 4th of July is very much his day.
He was the only founding father who refused to own enslaved people, and was the first U.S. president to live in the White House. John Adams wasn't just America's second president. He was also a fierce defender of liberty, who helped draft the Declaration of Independence and later died exactly 50 years after it was signed. In this video, we'll uncover the incredible journey of John Adams, from his humble beginnings in colonial Massachusetts to the heights of American politics as a revolutionary leader, diplomat, and president. Stay with us till the end to discover the triumphs and controversies of his political life and the lasting legacy he left behind. Born on October 30th, 1735, in what is now Quincy, Massachusetts, John Adams came from a deeply rooted New England family. His father, John Adams Sr., worked as a farmer, served as a deacon in the Congregational Church, and took part in local politics. The family's lineage could be traced back to Henry Adams, a Puritan who migrated to Massachusetts in 1638. His mother, Susanna Boylston, belonged to the influential Boylston family of Brookline. At just 16 years old, Adams earned a scholarship to Harvard, where he graduated in 1755. Though his father hoped he'd become a minister, John pursued a career in law, training under renowned lawyer James Putnam. By 1758, he had completed his master's degree at Harvard and was formally admitted to the bar, officially launching his legal career. On October 25, 1764, just days before he turned 29, John Adams married Abigail Smith, his third cousin, and one of the most influential partners in presidential history. Together, they had 6 children: Abigail, born in 1765, John Quincy in 1767, Susanna in 1768, Charles in 1770, Thomas Boylston in 1772, and Elizabeth in 1777. Much of their marriage was marked by long periods of separation, as Adams devoted himself to the revolutionary cause and his political career. Though Abigail strongly supported his mission, she often felt the emotional weight of his absence. Adams' legacy lived on through his son, John Quincy Adams, who would go on to become the 6th President of the United States, even as a member of a political party that once opposed his father's views. Adams's commitment to American independence took shape during the tumultuous 1760s, especially after the British passed the Stamp Act in 1765. He fiercely opposed the legislation, writing a series of essays published in the Boston Gazette titled Essay on the Canon and Feudal Law. In these writings, he championed the colonists' right to self-taxation and trial by jury. Adams didn't stop at the press. He addressed Massachusetts officials directly, arguing that the act had no legal standing. In 1770, a defining moment came when Adams agreed to defend the British soldiers involved in the Boston Massacre. Despite public outrage, he believed in the principle that everyone deserves a fair trial. He built a case showing that the soldiers had acted in self-defense against a threatening mob. His efforts led to the acquittal of 6 soldiers, while 2 were found guilty of manslaughter. Though the decision hurt his legal practice initially, his unwavering commitment to justice earned him widespread respect over time. Later that year, Adams was elected to the Massachusetts Assembly. By 1774, he represented his colony at the First Continental Congress. When Congress formed the Continental Army the following year, Adams was the one who nominated George Washington as its commander-in-chief. On May of 1776, he played a key role in pushing for each colony to establish its own independent government. He even authored the preamble to the resolution that paved the way for independence. On June 7th, Adams supported and promoted Richard Henry Lee's proposal for full independence, which was approved on July 2nd. He was then appointed to a 5-man committee, along with Jefferson, Franklin, Livingston, and Sherman, to draft the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson wrote the first draft, but Adams was instrumental in its passage on July 4th. Adams proved to be one of the most industrious members of the Continental Congress, serving on more than 90 committees. In 1777, he headed the Board of War and Ordnance, overseeing military affairs. 2 years later, in 1779, he was appointed a diplomat to help negotiate peace with Britain. He continued his diplomatic work in Europe through the 1780s, securing trade agreements, and in 1785 became the first U.S. ambassador to Great Britain. After nearly a decade abroad, Adams returned to America in 1788. He soon entered the political fray, appearing on the ballot in the nation's first presidential election. Though George Washington won unanimously, Adams received the second highest number of electoral votes and became the country's first vice president. He held this role during both of Washington's terms, but often found the position unsatisfying, as he had little influence over key political decisions. In 1796, John Adams became the presidential candidate for the Federalist Party, going head-to-head against his longtime colleague and political rival, Thomas Jefferson, who represented the Democratic Republicans. The election was fiercely contested, and Adams secured victory by a narrow edge, ascending as the second president of the United States. His time in office was overshadowed by the escalating conflict between Britain and France, which placed American diplomacy under significant strain. France, having severed trade ties with the U.S., became the primary focus of Adams's foreign policy. In an attempt to ease tensions, he sent a trio of American envoys to negotiate with the French government. However, French officials demanded bribes as a precondition to diplomacy, a scandal that would later erupt publicly as the infamous XYZ affair. The American public was outraged and clamored for war, but Adams, though facing pressure, refrained from formally declaring it. Skirmishes occurred at sea, but a full-scale war was avoided under his watch. By the year 1800, this quasi-war had subsided, yet Adams' popularity had taken a hit. He faced Jefferson again in the next presidential election, but lost by a slim margin, ending his single term in office. Following his presidency, Adams retired to his farm in Quincy, Massachusetts, where he lived a quieter life with Abigail. He remained intellectually active, writing extensively and rekindling his correspondence with Thomas Jefferson. Remarkably, both men died on July 4, 1826, exactly 50 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Adams's final words, filled with poignant irony, were, "Thomas Jefferson survives," unaware that Jefferson had passed just hours earlier. John Adams's legacy is one of unwavering principle, deep intellect, and profound dedication to the American experiment. As a revolutionary, diplomat, president, and father to a future president, he shaped the nation's early foundations with courage and foresight. Though often overshadowed by his contemporaries, Adams remains a towering figure in history. a champion of justice, independence, and the enduring power of democracy.